Good morning, grade two. Today we start with the first lesson in term four. It's called First Americans. First Americans. Yeah, this is the title of our lesson. So we will speak about first Americans long time ago, or who were the first people to live in America or in North America. But before we know about these people, we should know about the word history. And we studied before. History is a story of the past and the people who came before us. So you can learn about our history from your grandma, grandpa, from your parents, or from watching TVs, or from reading books. So, history is a story from the past and the people who came before us. Okay, so we will start our lesson with the word history. What is history? History is a story from the past and the people who came before us, because we will learn about the first Americans and the people who lived a long time ago in America. Here you're telling you the first people in America were the American Indians. So, who were the first people to live in North America? American Indians. How many groups of American Indians did we have? We had over 1,000 groups of American Indians. But we will study only four groups of American Indians. Okay? Again, history, story from the past. Who were the first people to live in North America? They were American Indians. How many groups of American Indians will we study in this lesson? Four. They are the first group, the Delaware. The Delaware is the first group of American Indian, and this group lived in woodlands. What's the woodlands? It's like forest. Okay. Um, grade two. When I start with each group, you will find that we will learn about their place, where did they live, their home, the shape of their home in winter and in summer. We will learn about their clothes, about their food, and about how did they travel from one place to another. Okay, so I will repeat the same titles with the four groups. Okay, so you have to study them very well and to memorize them like your name. Okay, we will start with the Delaware. We said the Delaware lived in woodlands. What about the home of the Delaware? They had two homes, one in winter and the other one in summer. In winter they had long house, and in summers they had wigwam type. What about their clothes? They made their clothes from deer skin because this was long time ago and they depended on natural resources. They used everything from nature, right? So the Delaware, they lived in woodland. They had long house, their homes. They had two homes, long house in winter and wigwam in summer. What about their clothes? They made their clothes from the deer skin. Do you know the animals that's called deer? Yeah, so they made their clothes from the deer skin. What about their food? You are not required to study all the kinds of food that they ate in the four groups, but you can get two or three kinds of food as you want. They ate nuts, berries, corn, beans, squash, and deer meat. So, the Delaware, they lived in woodlands, long house in winter, wigwam in summer. They made their clothes from deer skin. What did they eat? They ate nuts, berries, corn, etc. How did they travel if they wanted to travel from one place to another? They traveled by canoe or on foot. They traveled by canoe or on foot. So this was the first group, the Delaware. The Delaware woodlands. Let's go to the second group. The second group is called the Navajo. The Navajos, they lived in the desert. They had only one home. It's called Hogan. They made also their clothes from the animal skin and from plants. Okay, as we said before, that they are using everything from nature. What about the food that they ate? I want you only to memorize that they ate the cactus fruit. This is what I want you to remember about the Navajo. So the Navajo ate cactus fruit because they lived in the desert, and we can find cactus fruit in the desert. So what I want you to remember is to memorize the Navajo ate cactus fruit. The Navajo ate cactus fruit. How did they travel? They traveled on foot, okay? Because the Navajo, we didn't have too much water or lakes or oceans in the desert. So that's why when they wanted to move from one place to another, or if they want to travel, they traveled on foot, okay? So this is the second group. Remember, the first group is the Delaware. Delaware lived in woodlands. And here we have the Navajo. The Navajo lived in the desert. They had one home, but if you remember, the Delaware, the Delaware lived in longhouse in winter and wigwam in summer. But here the Navajos, they lived in Hogan. They made their clothes. All the American Indian groups made their clothes from plant skin, from the plants and from animal skin. This is, yani, this is the basic materials that they used to make their clothes. And what did the Navajo eat? They ate cactus fruit, and if they want to travel, they traveled on foot. Okay, so this was the second group. The third group is the Osage. Where did the Osage live? They lived on the plains. They lived on large flat lands. Remember, plains, flat land, like farms. Okay, big farms, large flat land. Didn't have many mountains, but it's very green, and the plains have good soil to grow. So you will know that they ate different kinds of food because they lived on plains, and the plain is a large flat land and it has a good soil where they can grow whatever they like from vegetables and fruit. The Osage lived on the plains, and we said they lived in winter in long house, but in summers they had like a small homes in summer for travelers. So the Osage lived on plains. The Osage lived on plains. Again, the Osage lived on plains. The Osage lived on plains, large flatlands. In winter they have long house, and in summers they have small homes. What did they make their clothes from? They made their clothes from deer skin. This is what we usually say in each group. What did they eat? They ate nuts, plums, grapes, potatoes, corn, pumpkins, turkey, buffalo. As I said, you are not required to remember all these kinds of food. I give you different examples of food. You can memorize one or two examples of them. As we said, because they lived on the plains, so they had a good soil to grow different vegetables and fruits. How did the Osage group travel? They traveled by canoe, boat, or on foot. Okay, like the Delaware. Yani they are a little bit close to the Delaware. Okay, so this is the third group is the Osage, and the Osage lived on the plains. They had long house in winter and small house in summer. They ate nuts, plums, grapes, buffalo, and turkey. And if they traveled by canoe or on foot. Okay, so this is the third group. What about the fourth group? The fourth group is the Shasta. The Shasta lived near the ocean. They lived near the sea, right? Near water, salty water. And of course, because they lived near the ocean, so you can guess what did they eat? Yes, they ate fish because they went fishing, and of course, because they lived near the ocean. So the fourth group is the Shasta, and the Shasta lived near the ocean. How many homes did they have? They had two homes, one in winter, and we call it dwelling house, and the other one in summer, and we call it cool brush shelter. So in winter, dwelling house, and in summer, cool brush shelter. What about their clothes from animal skin, from plants? This is repeated in each group. In each group, they made their clothes from the animal skin and plants. What about their food, or what did they eat? They ate turtles, fish, deer, and elk. This is the elk, if you don't know what is the elk. Yeah. So the Shasta is the last American Indian group that you will learn in this lesson. They lived near the ocean. They had two homes, dwelling house in winter and cool brush shelter in summer. They made their clothes from animal skin and plants. What did they eat? They ate turtles and fish. That's okay. How did they travel? They traveled on foot, by canoe, or snowshoes, using snowshoes in winter when it is snowy. Okay, they traveled uh, on snowshoes. Okay, so the fourth group is a Shasta, lived near the ocean, dwelling house in winter, cool brush shelter in summer. They made their clothes from animal skin and plants, like the other American Indian groups. They ate turtles and fish. They traveled on foot, snowshoes in winter, and by canoe. Okay, so please, I want you to study the four groups very well and to listen to this video more than one time to memorize each group. The last thing that we will cover that these American Indians, they lived a long time ago, so they depended only the natural resources to make the things that they want. They didn't have capital resources to use, and of course they were humans, so they used only the natural resources that we have. They used the resources from nature to make what they wanted. So here they made sandals from long leaves. They got leaves from trees, from grass, and they started to make sandals. The other thing that they made baskets from grass. They made baskets. Of course, women made baskets from grass. And also they made boats or canoes from logs of trees. They were able to make boats to travel that they used to travel from one place to another by or they got logs of trees to make the canoes or small boats to help them travel from one place to another. So they used the natural resources only to make what they want. Okay, I wish that you understood the difference between the Delaware, the Navajo, the Osage, and the Shasta. You have to remember, where did they live? What are the names of their homes in winter and summer? What did they eat? How did they travel? And what did they make their clothes from? And the last thing that we discussed, that they used everything from nature to do or to make what they want. Thanks for watching the video. Please, you have to watch it more than one time to differentiate between the four American Indian groups. Thank you so much. See you. Bye bye.